Yes, friends, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see.
I can't see.
Malim, we are seeing the screen.
So, welcome to today's class. Your teacher is Mr. Franklin. Today we are going to learn about indices, and our objective for today is to define an index of a number, state the laws of indices, and finally perform the indices operations. From our introduction, before we begin, who can define an indices? Because I know these are terms that you are used to.
And in this, yes,
Just go ahead, Davis.
and in this is the power of a number.
Very correct. That's a very good try. So, from the introduction, the lowest factors of a number, which are called, in other words, are the bases, are what we term as indices. So, an index is an integer that is called power. Okay, so we proceed. Laws of indices. The first law of indices is the multiplication law, where x raised to m multiplied by x raised to n will easily result to an x m plus n. So in this case, you take the powers and you add them. Are we together?
Yes, Malim, we are together.
The second law is the division law, where an integer with a base x raised to m is divided by the same integer raised to n, then you easily find an answer where the integer you minus the powers, the m and the n. We have the bracket law, where x raised to m into bracket raised to n easily means it's x m multiplied by n. We also have a law termed as the power of zero, where an integer raised to zero is always equals to 1. As you can see from the screen there, we have an integer which is x raised to 3, which finally resulted to x raised to 0, and that eventually adds up to is equals to 1. A number raised to a negative power is the reciprocal of the number raised to a positive power. For example, 3 raised to power negative 4 is equals to 1 over 3 raised to 4. That is known as the negative powers, where x raised to negative m is equals to 1 over x raised to m. I believe we are proceeding well. Now we go to reciprocals. The reciprocal of a number is when the index is negative 1 and its value is given by 1 divided by the base. Thus, the reciprocal of 2 is 2 raised to negative 1, which is equal to a half, 1 out of 2, which in decimal form can be represented as 0.5. That similarly applies to 5. When we are finding the reciprocal of 5, it is can be represented as 5 raised to negative 1, which is also represented as a fifth, and in decimal form 0.2. Students, I believe you are following well.
Yes, mommy.
We also have a statement when a number is raised to a fractional power, the denominator of the fraction is the root of the number and the numerator is the power. That is known as the fractional powers. So, for example, x raised to m all over n can be represented as n the root of x into bracket multiplied by the power m. Lastly, so from what we have learned, I think we can be able to do an example. You can note this down. I think from your end, you can note 4 raised to 2 multiplied by 4 raised to 1. Who can state which law are we going to use there?
Volume display the screen of the same question.
No, I'm reading that question for you. It's not on the slide, so I wanted you to note down.
Okay, repeat again.
Please concentrate. So I'm saying we want to solve 4 raised to 2 multiplied by 4 raised to 1. So my students, that was our first law, which is in our fourth slide, that is stating the multiplication law.